For the better part of the last 15 years, the Cowboys own the Texas Longhorns, and that feels really nice to say, although they did treat us like a redheaded stepchild in the Big 12 title game. That is why we're all rocking for the Sun Devils. It's a chance at revenge, and it's a big day and a big game for the Big 12.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all. Hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State. Today, we have a treat. We have a crossover that I requested, and thankfully, Richie was kind enough to give us some time as the Arizona State looks to take down the Shorthorns. This is a big opportunity for the Big 12, and of course, we appreciate the retribution. Richie, thank you. That is the best way to roll into this thing right here, brother.
I didn't know the camera was on. I'm sorry about that. It was a horns down if anyone missed it. Sorry about that, guys.
I don't think anyone is going to be offended by that gesture. Now, Richie, I do greatly appreciate your time. It's late. I know you're a busy dude. You're about to get on the road to be a witness to hopefully this Arizona State a-whooping because, of course, we want that kind of get back for what they did to us in Arlington last season. But realistically, it also is just a massive moment for the Big 12. Unfortunately, the sour taste in everybody's mouth is from TCU a couple years ago. I talked with Parker the other day about this. Nobody takes into consideration what TCU did to Michigan because everyone focuses on what happened to TCU in the national title game. I thought that BYU should have played ASU for the Big 12 title game. I thought that was the two best teams. You could make the argument that Colorado was one of the hottest teams, but strength on strength, the BYU game would have been good. They kind of solidified that the other day. Now is your opportunity as a Sun Devil to kind of help the get back. And it's got to be kind of sweet to do it against a Big 12 team that caused all of the chaos that allowed you to even become a Big 12 member yourself, buddy.
It is so sweet to have this opportunity to advertise ourselves as one of the new big dogs in the park of the Big 12, and to do it this quickly with the turnaround that we've been able to have, it's insane. Nobody thought that we were going to be here this quickly. ASU fans didn't. I certainly didn't. And yet we're here and we're dancing and we're going to do everything we can to prove that this is going to be a sustainable team and not a Cinderella team. We've had almost 30 kids from this roster confirm they will be returning to the team next year. It's a good recruiting class that's coming in. They've attacked the portal a little bit. So even if we don't get the job done this year, this team is out to prove like this is a sustainable program and we're going to have fun. But obviously you want to go out and you want to win your first year. The thing for me, and I put a podcast up on this on Locked On Sun Devils that Texas fans found and were very, very upset about. I called this game the dream matchup for ASU. Texas fans. What's that?
Go. I said, thank you. You hit it. Go ahead.
Right. Texas fans interpreted it as, oh, he doesn't respect Texas, blah, blah, blah. And what I wanted it to come across as, look, you guys are blue blood. You're a great program. I can't think of a better team to go up against in the first round and beat you. And then everyone's like, okay, yeah, Arizona State might be for real. That's the team. So it's a dream matchup. And then, of course, for the 15 brothers that we have in the Big 12 are also probably on our side. I know Arizona's not. BYU probably isn't. I think the rest of the Big 12 and certainly the OGs of the Big 12 are probably rocking maroon and gold on Wednesday.
100%. And I think you might be not giving BYU fans enough credit for as much as there might be some animosity from the transition and them never getting in the Pac-12. The fact that you are representing the Big 12, they've been very embracing on being in the Big 12. Now, it's a little bit different, right, because they didn't go from a Power 5 to a Power 4 style of situation. But BYU fans have been the nicest group outside of Kansas State that I could physically pop.
You got to show me those fans. I got BYU very mean love fans.
ASU, huh?
They do not like ASU, and it's fine because ASU will give you back the same energy. So I
did not know that. Well, speaking of, I meant to ask you when we did a crossover. I may have texted you, but it seemed to be a lot of animosity when Arizona State played us, and it seemed to be kind of reminiscent again in the Big 12 title game. Why do you think that Arizona State has carried a chip on their shoulder all season and not really been afraid or bashful about how they're going about their business? What kind of started that? Was it being pegged 16th or what? Why is Arizona State carrying a massive stick? Like they I don't know, they have something to prove.
A big part of it is the disrespect that was given to the program. And I mean, for being honest, Cody, like it's valid. They were one of the worst teams in college football the last 2 years. Of course, no one was going to give them any kind of respect, earned or unearned. And Kenny Cunningham addressed that as much in the offseason when we would sit down and we talked to him. Hey, you picked to finish last. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. He said something that I think would play to your point perfectly is nobody cares about your circumstance. No one's going to feel sorry for you. You need to go out and you need to prove yourself. And that's the way that the Sun Devils have played every game this year. We've got something to prove. We were told we're the worst, that we're not going to contend. We are this, that, and the other, A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. And he'll tell you, like, we don't care about the outside noise. And you believe him, but you also know there's no doubt above every kid's locker. Some post, a comment, a picture, something talking about ASU being bad and whatever else, whatever narrative that you wanted to throw at them. And they've used that to get to this point. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so invested in this team. It's still a very talented football team, and it's one that Texas fans do not think is talented. And I think they're going to learn the hard way on Wednesday that this is a much better team than you are willing to give them credit for. But this is a team that is just playing like there's no tomorrow right now. These guys are playing out of their mind. Their hair's on fire. The rent is due. Everyone's doing 11th on their side of the football. Everything's clicking right now. And this team is as dangerous as any in the country.
I'll tell you this, Richie, after the season that my Cowboys had, there was no hammering of the over this season. So I love the spread number. Last I looked, it was 12.5. Is it still kind of right around that range?
I got it from our friends at FanDuel. I put it on at 13.5.
Okay. Even better. So the disrespect is yet another reason why I think you're going to get most of Big 12 country rallying around Arizona State in this. Right. But stylistically, right, I just mentioned I did think BYU was the second best team in the conference to end the season. But I don't even think BYU, from a style perspective, would stand as good of a chance as you guys. Because Texas, they did look pretty phenomenal in their most previous game. But that's because up front, they're so physical, they're so big, and they rotate so many guys that it's hard to kind of keep track. Arizona State wants a fist fight in a phone booth. They welcome that style of football. So while Colorado might be able to put up 50 points, who knows? While BYU might be able to make it competitive. When it comes down to the fist fight and the phone booth style, Arizona State has that. And that is why I do think stylistically, Texas might be biting off a little bit more than they can chew by being overconfident here.
We'll see. And I mean, ASU, look, the fans, people like me, we're boosting this team up and we're talking for them because those guys go onto the field and they do their job. They're not chirping on Twitter. You'll see them like the little like pencil, like taking a note emoji every once in a while kind of thing of like, I'll remember that. But these guys really just go in and do their work. They epitomize the famous saying of former President Theodore Roosevelt of speak kindly and carry a big stick. Because when they go on that football field and you think you're going to run them over, they don't let you do that. There's been way more this year that we've seen ASU handle guys than the other way. Even
outside of the Big 12, right? When you think about the teams that are left, it's Arizona State, Boise State, and then it's a bunch of the who's who blue bloods of the country. So for the people that have been excluded from the Power Four or the G5, those fan bases are either going to be cheering for Boise State, Arizona State, obviously both. But when it gets narrowed down, you're going to have a large portion of the country. And let's face it, you either love Texas, and they do have a massive fan base, or you cannot stand Texas because they're so arrogant, they're so cocky, and they act like everything revolves around them in Austin, Texas. And realistically, from a Big 12 standpoint, we're kind of happy that they're no longer involved, because what people do not realize is when I say that, people are like, oh, you're just butthurt because they left. No, people don't understand, unless you were in the conference, that Texas was causing problems since 1996. So from the very beginning of them being in the Big 12, they wanted more money, they wanted better TV deals, they wanted more marquee games, they wanted all of this different access and different coverages and different percentages. And even before they'd really earned it, they were kind of getting it because of just the 40 acres, right? And the pizzazz that comes with it. So the Texas fan base has always been an issue in the Big 12. There was never an instance where having Texas in the conference was massively beneficial. So we're with you. We're riding with the Sun Devils. I'm going to be rocking my Arizona State shirt tomorrow. Dude, I bought that strategically just because of this game. And I told you, I wanted this game. I thought Clemson obviously would have made it a little bit more manageable for you guys to get to a national title. But I selfishly wanted Texas to win because I knew Texas fans were going to be like, oh, this isn't even going to be a game. Arizona State, an old Big 12 school that was 16th place in the old Big 12 that we won. All of that talk, it's happening. And that's indicative, in my opinion, of why the spread is what it is. People are hammering the money on Texas, and I freaking love it. This is our opportunity, Cowboy fans. Okay, we didn't get to capitalize on Oklahoma State winning any games this year to make any money. This is our chance. This is our opportunity. And I don't know about you, Richie, but I need to make some extra money because sometimes I got money that floats about all over the place with subscriptions and things of that nature
I don't
pay enough attention to. But we can help people pay attention. How about that?
I know someone for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richie knows somebody that needs some help from Rocket Money, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We all know as dudes, we tend to be pretty daggone forgetful. Rocket Money is going to allow you to be forgetful, but not have to worry about all the money going down the drain. If you forget about things you're paying for twice, it's definitely going to help you to have Rocket Money. If you had subscriptions that you don't even realize you were still paying for, Rocket Money makes it so easy for you to track them down. It's like having a personal assistant 24/7. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everyone together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or the goals you want to set for yourself this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and it has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year using all the app's premium features. To me, this is the thing that makes the most amount of sense because I am super forgetful. The subscription tracker, right? It allows you to cancel services that you don't even know about anymore. It's going to save you a ton. Plus, their goals feature is going to allow you to set money aside for your future without stressing about the monthly budget continuously. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That is rocketmoney.com/locked on. What is it, Richie?
rocketmoney.com/locked on.
That's right, Atta baby. Go get squared away today so you don't have money floating around in the ether. All right, buddy. Now we get to shift gears a little bit here. We've kind of sprinkled some of this going from 16th to first place. And first of all, explain kind of what that process was like, because I remember doing the Locked On Roundtable squad shows at the beginning of the year, and you were very reserved. You were very quiet. I distinctly remember your first episode. You were like, just happy to be here.
We're just happy to be here.
Hopefully we win some games. And as the season progressed, even when it looked like that you guys were going to have the opportunity to play for a Big 12 title, you were still pretty chill. Like, yeah, well, we're just kind of taking care of business. We're just kind of but the anticipation just started building, and it was so much fun to watch you go from a new host that was just like, yeah, I'm just happy to be here, to screw Texas. We want all of it. We can't wait for it. Tell us about that experience from not just, this job, but as a fan in general. How did the season start, and what were your guys' expectations, and what does it look like now?
The expectations for ASU football, we we want to go to a bowl game every year. We want to go to a good bowl game. This is a program that has been referred to, everyone has heard it at this point in time, as the sleeping giant, and that ASU is just waiting to explode. They just need a few things to go their way. The NIL, the recruiting, and all this stuff, once it culminates together, Arizona State's going to be one of the best programs in the country. And we've heard this for decades. This goes back to before I was even alive, when my grandfather was attending the school, when it was Arizona Teachers College, not even a state university at that point.
Oh, really?
There's always been this belief that when everything gets figured out, ASU is going to be hard to stop. And we've heard this for years and years and years. And Kenny Dillingham comes to ASU in the 2023 season, and he says, we're going to activate the Valley, and we're going to get everyone invested, and we're going to turn the ship around. And we believed him. We just thought it was going to be year 3 or year 4. Year 2, we're already here. And that giant, that sleeping giant that we've talked about, it's up at this point, because all of your potential NIL factors and people that would want to come in and help build the program, they're doing it. The recruiting is starting to skyrocket. Arizona has some terrific high school talent in their backyard, and they're trying to keep it home now. Everything is going well. In the state of Arizona and West Coast in general, when you have a good product, a good sports team, baseball, football, basketball, whatever, when you're good, the fans are all in attendance. When you're bad, there's a lot of stuff to do out in the West Coast, and that's where you get the East Coast bias from. But it's a real thing, because ASU fans are hard to find when they're bad, but they're good right now. And all you hear around town when you walk up and down the street is ASU. And this is the kind of passion that you can get from this fan base when you give them something that is worth rooting for. So you go from this fan base of, it is what it is. You know, I believe in Kenny. It's not going to be here yet, blah, blah, blah. The belief was there. But when you start seeing the results on the field, and then you start selling out games, and you see the kids are rushing the field, and you see everybody is having so much fun, and now it's magnetic, and everyone is being drawn to Tempe, Arizona. And when we get out to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, you're going to enter that stadium. There's going to be a side of burnt orange. There's going to be a side of gold. There is a lot of ASU fans that are out there. They travel. When you give them a good product, they travel.
But that Big 12 title game was kind of embarrassing. Let's be real. There was like 54,000 people there. I was like, what? How is this even possible? I mean, not saying we can't really talk. We put like 86,000 in there, but there's a lot of Texas fans.
Right.
Yeah. But still 55 for the Big 12 title game. And I thought, much like you, Arizona State's going to fill it up because they're so excited to be here. Iowa State's going to fill it up because they haven't been here in a while. But I don't know. I maybe I'm just looking too far into it. Do you think they travel better to Atlanta than they did to Arlington?
Right. And ASU fans, they're a little hard and hesitant to get involved. But at this point, like I said, I don't think I could go into downtown Phoenix without having all sorts of ASU merchandise and fans walking up and down. And like, they are proudly representing Arizona State right now. I haven't seen this in at least 10 years, since the height of the Todd Graham era. Like, this is special, what's going on at ASU. And when they prove this is a sustainable, successful program, it's only going to get better.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the things from an outside perspective to me that makes it even sweeter is because you mentioned the sleeping giant, and you guys have been kind of talking about that for ages. I know for a long time, Arizona State baseball, Arizona State wrestling was a force to be reckoned with each and every year. And now you have a football. So I think it's only a matter of time, because Mike Gundy has always said that your football team has to be successful for your university to have enough money to deviate to everybody so they can all be successful. And I mean, he's not wrong, right? You have to kind of financially get what you can out of football. If you guys continue at this rate, you'll be able to kind of catapult this into getting back to the wrestling and the baseball that you used to have. I know from a softball perspective, you guys obviously have some things that you could round out here, but it all starts with football. And you, Arizona State, have given everybody, including Cowboy Country, a lot of hope for 2025 because we just had our worst year since 1994. That was the last time we went over in conference play. I never thought that this would happen. Honestly, we got too comfortable under the Mike Gundy getting 8 to 10 win style of seasons over and over and over and over. We needed this. We needed this shock to the system. And now I kind of hope that we begin the season ranked 16th. I'm praying that we start preseason 16th.
Same turnaround.
Dude, I'm hoping for it. And there's not another conference in the country where number 16 can beat number 1. Is it slightly implausible? Yeah, but it's going to happen. It has happened. 15 beating 2 in the Big 12. It's probably not going to change, but that is going to kind of lead us into segment 3 here. We don't have another ad, so we might as well just roll here. Whenever you're looking at 2025 and, that you guys went from 16th to 1st and you did it with a young coach, you did it with a lot of transfers, do you feel like the next season is going to be equally as chaotic as this season? Or do you feel like over the next few years, do you think we'll get to a point that there's always a main 3 that are competing for Big 12 titles? Like in the Big 12, more often than not, it was OU, OSU, Texas, Iowa State. Those are the teams that were by and large going to compete for Big 12 titles, Kansas State. And outside of that, right, you had some good games, but it wasn't like it is now. Now it's murderer's row, and you have to pack your lunch and be prepared for a fist fight every week. Do you see that being the face of the Big 12, or do you think it eventually narrows itself down to having the main 3 and then everybody else?
No, one of the things that I liked so much when ASU announced it was going to the Big 12 was, even though you had your regular guys, your Texas and Oklahoma and a handful of other schools, right? I also look and I go, Oklahoma State's been to the Big 12 championship, Baylor, TCU, Kansas State. Kansas is coming out of nowhere now. Houston and Cincinnati and UCF are budding programs. BYU has blown the roof off the place. Like, there's a lot of talent in the Big 12. And it's one of the things that I like so much. And it just, like, would I love there to be like 2 or 3 elite teams? Yeah, of course I would, for the respect of the conference. But
right.
One of the things that I think is going to be beautiful about the Big 12 is 3 years from now, Arizona State might be the 5th best team in the Big 12. And you may see TCU, Oklahoma State, UCF, Texas Tech, and Baylor are atop the rankings. And then a few years after that, they could be near the bottom. Like, I think that's what's going to be beautiful about the Big 12. I'm hoping that ASU will be able to stay atop that ranking more often than not. And I do think that if they prove the sustainability that I firmly believe is there, that you will be able to continue to be atop. But I mean, look at what Texas Tech is doing right now. Like, they are killing the transfer portal. They're going to turn that thing around really, really quick if everything goes right and you have the stability and everything. And Oklahoma State, like you said, no one saw this coming. I am not worried for a moment about Oklahoma State. They're going to be fine. They'll get everything figured out. I don't know what your recruiting looks like. I don't know who's leaving, who's coming in and everything, but that's just a well-run program with too much of a history of success to continue to be a bottom dweller. Oklahoma State will be back. Utah will be back on its feet sooner rather than later. I mean, you're looking at a conference that should be able to just beat the you-know-what out of each other on a yearly basis. And I'm sorry that we don't have Ohio State or Alabama, but what we have is beautiful because we can beat each other every single week. And that's what college should be.
Dude, I said the same thing. I was, sometimes we do guest appearances on like other style of shows. And I've been on a show talking about how I think that the chaos in the Big 12 and the parity in the Big 12 can be what is marketed instead of having a Texas or an Ohio State or a Michigan or a Bama or a Georgia. Yes, we don't have those. But what we do have is the most parity in the country. So if ESPN would ever get behind the Big 12 instead of trying to put down the Big 12, they could market it as the only conference where every single week actually matters. And the parity I think is absolutely wonderful. As far as Oklahoma State is concerned, the new staff seems to have everybody extremely excited. The transfer portal is doing phenomenal. Recruiting is still, we're hovering in the 40-50 range. It seems pretty typical, unfortunately. but we're making a killing in the transfer portal right now. And as you mentioned, nobody expected this. So nobody, I think, would be completely surprised if Oklahoma State did turn it around and end up in Arlington next season. That might be a little bit much, but you really never know. It comes down to certain positions like quarterback. And before we get out of here, that's the last thing I want to mention. Texas, I'm sure you've heard it. You've been making appearances on Texas stuff. I'm sure you've heard that if you stop Cam Skattebo, you beat Arizona State all day, every day.
Sorry for hitting my mic.
Let's dispel that myth because, again, yeah, sure, if you want to go down low and try to stop Cam Skattebo and that offensive line, sure, turn it into a fist fight, bring it on. I'm sure they're fine with it. But Sam Leavitt has, I don't want to say grown before our very eyes, but he went from JUCO to not really being talked about a lot. And then he's not a game manager. He can extend plays. He can make crazy things happen. He can make mostly all of the throws. From the cerebral side, he seems to not put himself in too many precarious situations, and he knows not to do too much. He utilizes Cam Skattebo. He utilizes the wide receiver room that you have because even when you had your best wide receiver down, the rest of them stepped up just fine. And I think that's got to go partially to Sam Leavitt. What other than Cam Skattebo gives Arizona State the ability to prove these Texas fans to be a little overly cocky here?
So I do want to touch on Sam Leavitt a little bit more. Real quick, he's redshirt freshman, not a JUCO.
Okay.
So super young. I mean, before ASU had four games at Michigan State. Yeah.
Oh, Penn State?
So when they fired their previous head coach.
Michigan State's JUCO. Get out of here.
I'm not going to stir that pot.
You like that comment after our 3-9 season, huh? Yeah.
Hey man, flex the muscles. But Sam, I would tell you that he has grown before our eyes. I've said countless times at this point that if you took his performance in the Big 12 championship, you take that tape, that video, whatever, you give it to me week 1 when I'm watching him play Wyoming. I wouldn't have been surprised by him growing, but I would have been like, wow, he looks really good. Is that 2025 or 2026? And you'd be like, no, it was 3 months later. And I wouldn't believe you. It's a completely different guy. And the confidence has just gone through the roof for this kid. And he just made a comment that has completely stirred up the city of Austin, where he said he's looking forward to playing Quinn Ewers to prove he's the better quarterback. And the way I interpreted that was, I want to prove I'm the best quarterback in the country. The way that everyone is interpreting it, and the way that I would if I didn't put my thinking cap on, is I'm going to be better than Quinn Ewers. Like, putting yourself on a target board is pretty crazy. And Sam has done that, and he's done it confidently. And I'll tell you what I've said on my shows even before he said that. Sam Leavitt is definitively better than Quinn Ewers. And he's going to be one of the biggest deciding factors in this football game. Is, let's say that Texas does somehow stop Cam Skattebo. And you won't, I promise. The Texas fans that will find this, because they are following me around at this point, when you find this, you're not stopping Skattebo. You can just forget about it. But even if you do, Sam Leavitt is a confident quarterback who's getting better week to week to week. You have an elite secondary. I believe you. I don't know if our guys are set up to beat you on an individual level, but we do have an offensive coordinator, Marcus Arroyo, and we do have an offensive-minded head coach in Kenny Dillingham, who are going to see the strengths there, and they're going to go, this is going to scheme. We're going to scheme these guys open. We're going to find ways to create an opportunity for Sam to get them the ball, and then Sam's going to get them the ball, and it's going to be like, well, how did Sam Leavitt manage to do this against an elite secondary? I mean, Kate Klubnik just did it. Why can't Sam Leavitt do it? Like, I believe in Leavitt to be able to do it, but I also don't think that Cam Skattebo is going anywhere. The biggest question mark for me, that's a really good Texas defense. That's an elite Texas defense, and that pass rush scares me. You know what? So you got to find a way to control those trenches.
I thought you were just going to get to it. I think if you can control the time of possession, that's the secret to. If you let Texas get the ball an overabundant number of times, then it could spell disaster to some degree. But they have a top flight, maybe the top defense in the country. It's possible.
There's not many better.
And if you guys get in a situation where you have to score points in bunches, I think obviously that could become very problematic. If you guys have an even time of possession style of game, even if you don't score a bunch of touchdowns, if you can eat up the clock, get down the field, put up some points, and make it that style of game, which I think that Arizona State is capable of doing, then I think that I not only would favor Arizona State, but it could potentially get ugly because Texas, I don't know that they're used to being tested late. Honestly, I mean, they haven't really gone through the ringer this year as far as the SEC schedule that they received. As much as I hate OU, when it came to the SEC schedules, the Sooners got shafted and Texas got a massive gift. Now, Texas was able to take advantage of it. They were able to put themselves in this position. They are this good, but them underestimating Arizona State is phenomenal. I love it. I can't wait for it. I'm going to hammer the over and give us a parting shot. What do you think this is going to kind of end up looking like in the end for Arizona State?
I think they can pull it off. And real quick, sorry for the Loom Cube going out on me. I am now in the dark, essentially. My light went out on me. But I do think that ASU has every chance to get this football game the same way that Texas does. And there's more talent. I said this earlier. There's more talent on this ASU team than Texas is willing to admit to. Yeah. And this is an ASU team that has a lot that they're playing for. And Texas fans will tell me the same thing. We're playing for a lot too. It's a different thing. We're playing to prove that we're a good football team. You're playing to prove you are worthy of what you've been called. We've been called things that we're trying to disprove, kind of thing. Yep. So yeah, we both have stuff to prove, but ASU has a different mentality and mantra that they're carrying with them. And at the end of the day, they've just got a really good chance to win this football game. And our good friend Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 thinks that ASU could blow out Texas. Am I there?
I mean,
probably
not.
My
prediction is 34-31 Sun Devils. But it would be nice to see a blowout because of what they did to us in Arlington. All right.
Well, I'd love it, especially because they would disappear from my comment section.
Well, yes. Well, I don't know about all that. Texas fans, they're very high on themselves. If you win, dude, I promise you, if you win by 20, it'll be that it was rigged and the refs are the worst and everything was stacked against them from the get-go. And nobody wanted to see an SEC team win. If they lose by 1, they would have gotten cheated. And if they beat you, then you're not going to hear anything because you guys were just little bitty ASU in the way. That's how that goes.
Dude, I think my face is on a dartboard in Austin. They know who I am. They do not like me.
Well, good.
Dude, I couldn't have it any better. Some of them are like, oh, this is the kind of guy that'll disappear after talking all this. And I'm like, I'll be here. I just might not be in a good mood if ASU loses.
That is the beauty of social media and things of that nature. I love when people are like, oh, look, you're just going to shut up. Be like, I actually have to get in front of a camera and a microphone every single day. Yeah, so me shutting up, A, it ain't going to happen. And B, I kind of like paying my bills. So I don't have that possibility. All right, buddy.
I appreciate Texas fans paying my bills. So
yes, yeah. The more, the merrier, the more welcome. And again, hopefully you guys.
Here's my thank you.
Yay! I absolutely love it. See, you guys are fitting in. And again, I mentioned it real briefly. I wanted to finish with it. You mentioned the kind of craziness, just waiting to kind of what did you call it?
For ASU, the sleeping giant?
The sleeping giants. Thank you. See, that's why you do what you do and you make the big bucks. I didn't hear that about Arizona State. I'm not going to lie to you. Whenever the whole transition was going on, everyone was talking about how UCF has all the money in the world. They have all of the alumni in the world. They have the right destination where they reside is so full of talent around them. And then we heard Houston, kind of similar. They've got the Fertitta money. They've got the ability in a recruiting rich area to potentially, be really good. Texas Tech, Joe McGuire has been recruiting top-notch dudes for a couple of years now. But Arizona State didn't get a lot of love. Arizona did. Noah Fafita, Teteroa McMillan, some of the best players in the country. And Arizona State, in my opinion, was getting slept on before you even got into the conference. And then you have a young coach that's a local dude that, it's going to take a while. I don't think anybody was talking about Arizona State, which is why, to me, this makes it so much better and so much sweeter that you're in this position. You're not UCF. You're not Houston. You are the team that everyone said was going to take a while with a young coach and a bunch of transfers to get it figured out. That's why this is sweet.
Yep. It's the Cinderella team for this year, but get ready for
even more so than
success.
Boise State.
Right.
Everybody knew that Ashton Genty was going to have Boise State in a competitive atmosphere no matter what. Nobody knew except for you guys and some of us that pay attention to how good Cam Scadaboo was. And but even outside of him, I think we all underestimated Sam Leavitt. I mean, one last question. Do you have the receiver back?
Jordan Tyson? No.
Yeah. No.
He is not back. He's been hinting at coming back. Honestly, unless we somehow get to a national title game, okay, I just want him shut down for the year. I am 99% positive he's going to be returning for next year, and I'd rather have him at 100%. I mean, if he could play, that'd be awesome, but I don't want him to re-aggravate anything. And we still got guys like Xavier Guillory who can get the job done while we get Tyson 100% healthy.
You know who else you have? Melquan, mother trucking Stovall, baby. Yeah.
Best hands in the business, dude.
Those guy with the right name, and you will be fine. Speaking of, I am Cody Stovall, ladies and gentlemen. That is Richie Bradshaw.
In the dark.
Richie, I greatly appreciate your time. I cannot wait to see what you guys are able to do. And let me know whenever you get rock and roll in the stadium. Hit me up. Let me Venmo you a beer or two. Because I tell you, hopefully it doesn't, happen like that. But the third quarter for me in Arlington last year, I was just like, I'm just going to walk around and drink some brews and have some fun and enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys get to do that to Texas fans. Hit me up. Let me buy and Papa Bear a beer. And if you guys if you stomp a mud hole in Texas, I might buy way too many of them.
My man, I appreciate it. And for you and for all those watching, as long as we're not playing Oklahoma State, I love you. So let's go Pokes, baby.
Atta, babe. Well, that's for me. I'm going to say forks up, baby. Horns down. Cannot wait to see you guys get this W. Rep the Big 12. Make a push for a natty and set the record straight that the most competitive conference every single week is worth more than just eyeballs. It's worth people paying attention to because this conference is building something that nobody's ready for. Go prove them. Go prove them. All right, buddy. I appreciate it. As always, you know I love you. Fine folks out here. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen. All righty, y'all. Cannot wait till you guys beat them. All right, we're out. We're done. Skedaddle.